angry, 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 Aussie, 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 angry, 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 Aussie, 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 angry, 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 angry.
And it's Thursday. It's Thursday night, practically Friday, which is essentially the weekend. So, woo! Got work tomorrow. But yeah, who works on a Friday? I do. I work very hard. On the off chance anyone from my workplace ever sees this, I work very, very hard. And I'm usually not hungover, despite the fact Thursday night sometimes gets a bit carried away. But we'll see how I go tonight. Hi, Megalich. How are you going? I couldn't sleep last night. At the start of the live stream, the first hour of the live stream, I had this glass filled with Mountain Dew, which is caffeinated, which I didn't think would particularly affect me. It is later than I would normally drink caffeine. I usually make a point of not drinking like any Pepsi Max after 7 to 8 at the latest, but more like 7:30. And I never have trouble sleeping. And I had this Mountain Dew. I don't know if it's more caffeinated than Pepsi Max. I doubt it, but I was just not tired. I was just lying in bed for like half an hour, 45 minutes. I'm not even close to going to sleep. I'm going crazy just lying here. So I got, and also I even went to bed late because after last night's stream, finishing at 10, I found out the news that, Dan Andrews was going to have a COVID-related press conference at 10:30. So I was like, fuck, what's that going to be? And it was nothing too dramatic, honestly. So I didn't even go to bed till about 11 or even after 11, but then I couldn't go to sleep. And I got up and hello, Shieldsy. When I flicked on the TV, V for Vendetta had just started. And I thought, okay, this might help me sleep, something I've seen multiple times. And, it's is it slow paced? I don't know if that's the right way to describe it. But anyway, it's I thought the familiarity might help me sleep, and I watched all that, and I still wasn't tired. And then I started watching the relatively recent movie Ford versus Ferrari. Watched the first hour and a half of that. And then I realized it was getting close to 4 a.m. and I thought I should try and sleep again. Like I wasn't nodding off at all. Sometimes I'm nodding off at like 8. It's like 3 a.m. and I'm not nodding off. But then I did kind of go to sleep. And then my alarm goes off at 7 for work. I had an energy drink, a big can of Monster. And I've been okay. I forced myself to lie down for half an hour in the afternoon. So we'll see how I go this stream. Hello, Glee. How are you? Yeah. I think the whole rest of the world is weirded out by the way we react straight away to a single case or a single cluster. Like, when other places are having thousands of people dying a day, let alone cases, they're having thousands of people dying a day. And we pull out all stops for like single cases or single clusters just because, we don't want the shit to go down again. But yes. Glee, I think it was the caffeine. Yeah, Megaleech, I had the energized dew with no sugar. It's a nice enough drink. I don't know, it was the caffeine is all I can tell. Because I just was not tired. It was really weird. Haven't had that happen to me in a really long time. Oh, and the fruit juice tonight. Because I finally remembered to get some lemonade. Oh, and a carbonation bottle for my soda stream too. Shields, you can't stay up late. Oh, you're going to? That's right. You're going to the mainland and visit the folks. Well, that's a good one. And hello to Celtic King and Toby as well, watching us from Twitch at the moment. And by us, I mean me, of course, because it's just me at the moment. That could change. Who knows? Who knows who might end up on the screen? Not AIDSy, I don't think, but someone else might be in the mood. Oh, Mega Leech, I'm going. I will eventually get in sometime in the next couple of weeks to months. Go in a sleep study, which will almost definitely say, yeah, you should get a CPAP machine. But it wasn't sleep apnea because I wasn't asleep. And hello, Musical Aviator. Oh yes, Glee. Yeah, that poor guy, the hero, Captain Sir Thomas, got the Rona and died because he was 100. Celtic King, AIDSy is not in good health and has not been for approximately 20 years. That is not the appropriate question to ask for AIDSy. The appropriate question is, on the scale of AIDSy, how well is he? And the answer is not great, but also not in hospital. So, swings and roundabouts with AIDSy, really. So, yes, that's the best. It's like not too bad, not too good. So that's about the most accurate thing I can say about AIDSy at the moment. I will see how he goes. Yeah, he was just busy with domestic stuff, so don't think he'll be it. Celtic King, he's not good for the AIDSy scale. He is definitely not good for the AIDSy scale. The last year has been quite degenerative. He's just not in hospital. Hello, Kirsten. Shizina was not temperature change. It was absolutely not temperature change. I just thought, well, what did I do different? I had Mountain Dew after 8 o'clock. That seems pretty straightforward. Musical Avenue saw 3 hours of Wagner last night. Heimdall's Bifrost Bridge has lots of smoke machines. Fire alarms. Oh no. Was that just like the smoke machine had been going for too long and it triggered the smoke alarms? Made the fire alarm come to the opera? Wow. Slightly embarrassing if your overactive smoke machines make the what do you call it, fire brigade come. I literally just thought of something and I'll try not to be too distracted, but I'm just going with what was that thumbnail there? I didn't use that thumbnail. Oh, that's weird. Sorry, that was really weird. Okay, that's all good. Was that Glee sick of every year turning up at hospital? Yes, yeah. Having to go to hospital on the regular, not good. AIDSy had 2 extended stays, and his timing was so fortuitous. One was before Melbourne's second wave, and one was after Melbourne's second wave had died down. Celtic King, you want to shave off Toby's beard, burn as a burnt offering. Burnt hair is supposed to be one of the worst smells there is, so I'm not sure you really want to do that. Stella, good evening to you. In far-flung Western Australia, separated but from me, at least, by all those miles and 3 hours. So both physically and temporally distant. Not sure why I'm saying that. I mean, it's true, but I've been making flavored vodkas, which I've never. I did show. That's the raspberry one that I made. I showed that last night. But this one, I was in the supermarket, and then I was in the cooking section. I think they had. They called them what was it? Caramel roasted coconut chips. So I'm making a caramel coconut vodka, and you see it's taken a lot of the color. Then that's just from today. I was going to leave it in there for ages. I might taste test it, actually. I don't know how much taste it's got. I have to filter it later. Louis, hello. Kelsey King, to the best of my knowledge, ADE has not had a COVID test. He might have. I have to ask him when I next talk to him. Not sure, but of his various health problems, COVID has not been one of them. Oh, Glee, you were in April 1st, 2020. Not a joke. Yes. Still, you have to go to the pain clinic in Perth in about 10 days. Yeah, it looks like Perth's going to be under control. It's like there's, did the sort of emergency switch flip for a couple of days, and it looks like massive testing is going to reveal no new, what do we call it? No new cases. So I think Perth will be back to normal. Was that, Louis? Have to wear devices called bump. Oh, God, that's funny. So the electronic devices in the office, and they tell if you're too close to someone. That's interesting. I've not heard of those. That's interesting, though. And hello, Chris. Yeah, Louis, that is, you could argue it's basically, it's not. It's vodka. It's flavored vodka. Moonshine, by most estimations, is an unaged spirit, usually made from grain. It's moonshine is usually an unaged grain spirit. Will vary in different parts of the world. I mean, I've got a couple of unaged spirits over there, which broadly, equate to moonshine. I think I've got the Irish Poitín. I don't think that's aged. So I think that's like Irish moonshine. And there's two Australian ones. One is called cane spirit. It's a flavored cane spirit. I think it's like cacao nibs flavored cane spirit. And because they can't call it rum because it's not aged. It's like a white rum, but it's not aged. One of the rules about rum is it has to be aged for 1 to 3 years. I can't remember what it was. So it's just called a cane spirit. So it's an unaged rum. So it's rum moonshine. And the other one is actually called Pacific Moonshine. Comes from the Byron Bay Distillery. They teamed up with a beer brewer who had a massive amount of beer they couldn't sell during lockdown, and it was going to go off. So they said, hey, let's fuck around. Let's distill this and turn it into a spirit. And it's a very sort of tropical spirit. It's not really rum because rum comes from molasses, sugar, and beer is it's grain. It's usually wheat, hops, barley. So it's very much a moonshine. It's an unaged grain spirit, but yeah, it's fun. Louis, so the bump things are like huge medallions that vibrate. Yeah, see, that's the other thing. The GPS device to be monitored by the boss ever gets to the stage, and because I know there are various workplaces that, they talked about having these really big monitoring things and whatnot. If I ever look at a job and they have some sort of big brother monitoring thing, I'm just going to tell them to fuck off. Like, nope. So who would you use Bing if Google took search away? Well, you wouldn't really have a choice. You use DuckDuckGo, I guess. So, yeah, this is not going. I should filter this one and put it in a decanter. But this one, what's it taste like? What does it smell like? Smells like coconut. What's it taste like? So it tastes like sweetened vodka at the moment. Hardly a surprise, because that's what it is. Yeah, I will leave that. My original plan was to leave it for a few days. I want it to get a really strong coconut flavor, hopefully. Celtic King, I've used DuckDuckGo in the past, but I'm lazy as fuck and just use Google. Shieldsy, that's a point. VPN for Google is another one. But yes, this is the weird and strange world we live in, that we have to consider these things because we don't know what's going to happen. Seller just opening mail. Placed an order from Chemist Warehouse 2 weeks ago, including a pregnancy test, just arrived. Did your period finally? That's just Stella's way of boasting that she's getting some. Good for you. Good for you. But yeah. Was that Safi? You weren't happy the treasurer mentioned another search engine by name. That's true. It's basically advertising, but no. So I think I'm missing something, Louis, about here. The giving up thing. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Stella, you would also VPN Google. Oh, okay. It's on your phone. I completely understand, man. If it's on your phone, it's very easy for things to go wrong. So, yeah, I completely understand your quandary. Right, I'm going to pace myself because I do have a drink I want to drink because it'll go stale. I had to make the ginormous pisco sour for close-ups for my cocktail channel, and it's just sitting in the fridge. So I made it just before the live stream. Sorry, speaking of things I made, I was it in the fridge. My ice, how's that going? That's okay. I got my, like, this is my ice. Well, okay, so this is an insulated coffee mug, coffee to go. It's got the thing that screws on the top so you can sip, but there's ice in there because with the insulation, it can't freeze from all sides like ice normally does, which is why ice gets cloudy. Ooh, it's slurping. I think it's ready to come out. So you get directional freezing, which pushes all the impurities to the bottom as the ice freezes. So I get really clear ice. Twitch is banning the use of VPNs for streamers. Listen to that. Here's some ASMR. What's that noise? That's air getting past the ice as it comes out. How good was that noise? You can see there's those impurities there. So I cut that off, and then the top bit's this completely clear ice, which is really cool. In fact, I'll do it now while we're talking. We appreciating that ASMR? It's like a slow fart or something. Ooh, this one. That's a good knife. It's not a knife. This is a knife. And I just going to put it in a little plastic cup and keep it in the freezer for sexy cocktail making sexy clear ice cocktails. Oh, Louis, the channel was promoted on Twitch. That's weird. I mean, I just arbitrarily rebroadcast to Twitch because I can, and I never really expected anything to come from it. Thank you, Twitch, for Promoting my channel. Like the main thing is YouTube, and some people watch on Facebook as well. But yeah, I don't know. More ASMR of me cutting ice. I don't know if Twitch ever turned into something. That'd be cool, but I'm not holding my breath. Like I said, I just rebroadcast Twitch because I can with no effort. Thanks to StreamYard. All right. Now, gotta go. Come on. There we go. Got to score around the ice. I've got my little clear ice. I'm going to put that in the freezer for use another day, maybe tomorrow, who knows? Frag. Okay, stop that. There. Right. And the cloudy ice, I'll just put in my glass. There we go. I think after I have the juice, I might have a glass of water. Just because. All right. Well, that's some shenanigans. Celtic King, clear ice does not intrinsically have a different flavor and texture. It just looks clear, which looks cooler in a drink. Assuming the drink is clear. If the drink is not clear, it's totally wasted. Raiders, a copper pipe cutter might be less effort. I do not know what a copper pipe cutter is. I certainly don't have one. Oh yeah, Louis, the rebroadcast, there can be a 30-second, easily a 30-second lag between when I say something and you hear it on Twitch. Sometimes it's not that big, but can easily be 30 seconds. Like, for instance, that comment of you saying it's a bit laggy came up 2 minutes ago. It's probably, when you're hearing me talk about it now, it's much more than 2 minutes after you posted it. But anyway. Oh. So, I did an ASMR channel. No, I can't be bothered. Oh. Readers, okay, there you go. Scores the pipe and is far more precise, which would be good. Okay, look, I do a Google search. Copper pipe cutter. Ooh, that's a cool device. Ranging from $7 on Wish to $29. To like $8.50 and up at Bunnings. I want to look at the Bunnings one. I could maybe go into Bunnings and get one. Let me have a look. Let me have a look, Bunnings. Craft Right Tube and Pipe Cutter. Oh yeah, I guess I see how it works. You lift that thing up and put the ice in and go, and yeah. Because here's the thing for cutting ice. The recommendation I've always seen is to score it all the way around, and then use something to go tap, 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 and it'll break in line with where you scored it. That's very small, 32 millimeters. I'd have to work, well, to measure this. And get whatever size that is. 60 millimeters? Something like that. I don't know. That is definitely something I could look into, though. Yeah. Stellar you insomnia shopping. Ooh, that's interesting. A ding. That would be from AZ. Oh, and he wants to join us. That's a little bit of a surprise. I didn't know he would be here tonight. Well, that's a nice surprise. So I'll send him the link. Linky dinky dink. Firing up the Gmail. Speaking of things I hope don't go away. Okay. All right, is you have to do the pipe cutting with PVC. Okay, cool. The suggested responses include sorry, no. That would be mean to send to him, wouldn't it? That would be right mean to send to him. Which is why I'm tempted to do it, but I won't. I still haven't done anything, and I have to pay every now and then. Mrs. Angry tends to order a lot of books for her work, like from the book depository and whatnot. And she's been ordering some clothes from Target as well. So she's been getting all these parcels in the mail, and I've been really jealous. I've got a couple things on order from overseas, and who the fuck knows when they'll arrive. One of them was supposed to arrive sometime soon-ish, like this week or next week, but who fucking knows if it actually will. Then I ordered something local. Just like, I just want presents to arrive. They don't have to be big. I just want. Oh, okay, Raiders. So size-wise, it wouldn't be a thing. Celtic King, given there's no impediment to AZ continuing his channel, I think it's safe to say he's probably not continuing it. That is because there is no impediment apart from life, and so I'm assuming life is more important. So yes, I would not expect AZ to start anything on his YouTube channel again. So it took a hot minute to work out I wasn't talking about Solo the drink. Well, it's like that sometimes. So far, I only have to wear a mask if there's a non-household member here. And they'll probably lift that within a couple of days. We do a couple of days of intensive testing. The unnecessary thank you text. Couple of days of intense testing, and no new cases, and Bob's your uncle, basically. So yes, I think it's going to turn out that both the the quarantine case from Perth and the quarantine case in Melbourne are going to end up being contained. Not necessarily just the one person, although it could end up being that, but they will be. My prediction is they will be contained. Celtic King, someone with an auntie bob. Nice. Why not? Why not indeed? I always like the line in the Young Ones, Mike the cool person said, and before you know it, Bob's your auntie's live-in lover. So I kind of think the tennis shouldn't have gone on, but it does involve millions of dollars. It involves so much money. So the temptation was too strong. It's like, we've got almost no cases. We just got to. And it's really funny, like, whichever one of the wankers it was who had his initial complaints about the harsh conditions of lockdown and then, like, didn't realize how badly he'd misread the room, and he apologized for being a dipshit. Yeah, and I saw Serena Williams on Colbert's show being positive about the level of quarantine they had. She goes, you got to understand, they have like no cases here, and they want to keep it that way. So, no, I do. I'm bored. It keeps distracting me. I'm going to. I might wait for AZ to show up actually, and while he's talking, might set up to decant my raspberry vodka. Actually, I haven't tasted this. Does this taste raspberry? Looks raspberry. There's this cooking stuff that was meant to be a raspberry flavor for cakes and whatnot. I just dissolved it in here. Yeah, it does. Tastes like raspberry cheap vodka. Celtic King, the Jehovah's Witnesses are saying COVID's the beginning of the end. Isn't everything the beginning of the end for J-Dubs? Exactly, Shieldsy. I'm distracted with the squirrel thing. I didn't see that one, Stella. Spanish tennis player sooked about quarantine and then tested positive. God damn. Nintendo Lunchbox Vegas flavor. Well, it's cheap vodka. That kind of seems like Vegas flavor to me. But yeah, that would be good in some mixed drinks. Kirsten, okay. We got to remind you to check your dinner. All right, 20 minutes. That's at 10 to 9. I'll try and remember. Everyone try and remember to remind Kirsten about her dinner in 20 minutes. Safa, yes, I sent AZ the link. But it's one of those things we can never tell when will AZ actually arrive after I sent him the link. It can be anywhere between 5 minutes after I give him the link to an hour to something's come up and he can't come on. So it's a mystery bag. Keeps life interesting, I think. It's good to keep things interesting. Oh, yes, we have to say his name 3 times, Stella. I wonder what the original version of that was, because there's a few different ones like that. Oh, that's a good question, Chris. Kirsten, what dinner is preparing in the next 20 minutes? Always want to share food tips. I got a burger that was really quite good. You know, just your classic one with lots of salad, like the Aussie one. It's lettuce and tinned beetroot and egg and burger and cheese and bacon and nom 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 nom. At the moment, you're concentrating on making ears for a beanie. That's fair, Kirsten. Kirsten's making sticky chicken with veggies. Nice. Safa, you hate it when TV shows change nights and time slots. Not really, because I never watch something when it's scheduled. I always use the DVR to record it. I can't think of. I either watch it on a streaming service or record it and watch it later. I can't think of the last time I go, oh, it's time for that show to start. And speaking for it's time for the show to start, here's AZ.
Hey, going. Sorry I'm late. I got caught at a strip show.
That's fair.
Or fucking, I was going, I'm already naked. What else do you want? Turns out, for a few $100,
right.
And I was going, no, I'm not that kind of girl. And they were
Right.
saying, do you want 50? And I went, yes, please. How are you? What's happening?
Oh, we're all cruising on down. We just got to the stage of talking about people's dinners, so it's interesting you're eating. We've got to remember to remind Kirsten in about 15 minutes to check on her dinner, which is sticky chicken and vegetables.
Well,
Shieldsie's
don't burn that.
No. Shieldsy's been having a big kangaroo meat week, sausages and steak and whatnot. So
Kangaroo meat is very good for you. Very
on the
lean.
scale of red meats, yes, because it's so lean and
very lean. It's got lots of good omegas in it. Anyway, and of course the vegan diet is perfection personified.
yeah.
Because I've seen vegans.
Have you? Well, that's a freaky concept, seeing vegans. Oh, Kirsten
Because in Northcote, there's none of them here. It's a fucking vegan every time. Like, every third shop is, yes, we sell vegan crap. There's a leather belt shop going, we sell vegan leather belts. And I went up and said, is it genuine leather? And it says, yeah, it's genuine leather. Well, you've said it's vegan. Well, it's not killing an animal now.
He died of old age.
Yeah, that's right. Old age and lead poisoning.
Oh God, I started watching this show, Fleabag, again, and because I'd watched the first season, Mrs. Angry got bored with it. And I thought, I'm going to start watching second season, and it's one of those. It's a British comedy, sort of. The lead is single millennial woman. Started out as an Edinburgh Fringe show many years ago, and ended up getting picked up for TV. But it's one of those cringe shows, like, everyone's horrible and the situations are horribly awkward. Her widowed dad has remarried this truly awful woman, and the tension in every family gathering is just mind-blowingly horrific. And it's funny, and it's a little quirk. The lead character is like telling you her story, so she will talk directly to camera, and everyone else is acting completely naturalistically, and she'll look straight at the camera and go, like when someone says something controversial, she'll just look across at the camera and go, oh. And it's actually really quite well done. But the cringe factor, like it's that classic British cringe comedy, like The Office or something.
And they do that pretty much better than anyone. They really do.
A repressed people do cringe very well. Yes.
Well, there was when I was in Edinburgh. I love saying that. When I was in Edinburgh, just doing a couple of guest shows.
When I was in Edinburgh.
It was many years ago now. Early Aughties. Was the Aughties? Oh, it was 2000. It was before everything got bombed, which is why I was allowed to fly around without having microscopes stuck up my bum. Anyway, there was this debate we were having, the Australians, whether there was such thing as an English joke. And he said, I put forth this evidence, right?
Yeah.
There's a sketch show.
Yeah.
He went and seen night before, a couple of nights before.
Yeah.
And the sketch is very simple. Desk, doctor, patient.
Yeah.
And the patient comes in and says, so, doctor, you've run all the tests and, of course, we're hoping everything's fine. The doctor says, well, I I'm really very sorry to have to say this to you, Mr. Jenkins, but everything is not fine. You've got stage 4 terminal cancer. We've
Ooh.
unfortunately picked it up very late. You've got pretty much days to live. And the patient goes, "Oh, right. So everything's fine then." No, Mr. Jenkins. No, it's not fine. It's not fine. You need to very quickly get your family together and get your affairs in order, because you've only really got days to live, and then that'll be it. That's the best we can do with what we've got. You're in a lot of trouble. Oh, okay, great. So everything's fine then. No, Mr. Jenkins, it's not fine. Nothing is fine. Everything is worse than fine. Everything is as far away from fine as you can get. Have you got your wife's phone number there that I can maybe call her? Oh no, she lets me do all these things. It'll be great. She's out in the car. I'll tell her everything's fine. It's not fine. It's not okay. And then the doctor goes into a 2.5 minute tirade of what the cancer is, what it will do, how it will stop his life, how it will manifest, and how bad it will be in the last hours of his life. And he has to get his affairs in order right now.
Yeah.
He's got maybe a day and a half worth of not much pain, and the rest of it will be total agony.
Yeah.
And then he's listened to this and he goes, oh, really, really patiently, and looks down and goes, right. So everything's fine then. And the doctor just looks at him and goes, yes, everything's fine. Great. And he gets up and leaves. And then the doctor just bursts into tears. And then the lights go down. And the audience shits itself with laughter. And my friend was going, that is, in his reckoning, the quintessential English joke. That is it all over.
The oh god, is it really old Douglas Adams one? He's trying to talk about this is how English people are. Like he was getting on a train. He's waiting for the train. He's at the station. So he does the English thing, buys a newspaper, and they have a thing where you get a cup of tea and a little packet of biscuits. And he sits down at a table with his tea and biscuits and his newspaper. And this guy sits on the other side, which is fine. Guy's got a cup of tea. But then this guy opens Douglas Adams's packet of biscuits and takes one and dips it in the tea. And Douglas Adams said, I was livid. And being English, I looked at him meaningfully. And the guy was so blasé about it, and I couldn't believe it.
And then, of course, Douglas Adams takes a biscuit.
Douglas Adams took one of his
biscuits.
It
in his tea.
And keeping eye contact the whole time. Yeah.
Aggressively. And the guy looks at him.
Yeah. And the guy like takes that as a challenge and takes another biscuit.
Another fucking biscuit.
And Douglas Adams can't believe it. And this goes on till they have eaten half of the packet of biscuits each, just with this challenging eye contact but not saying anything. And the guy has finished his tea and leaves, like his train comes first. And Douglas Adams like, can't believe him. I'm getting my train. And picks up his newspaper to reveal his packet of biscuits, which was under the newspaper.
I loved that sequence. I loved that sequence. It was gorgeous.
Yeah. It's just like, that's the most English experience of my life.
Yeah, that's as English as it gets. I used to do a thing. It was just a quickie. Greets Angry and Daisy. Good to see you guys still going hard. Just FYI, everything's going fine here. Thanks, Shane H.
Very pleased to know everything's going fine for you too.
I'm glad things are going fine. I'm going to get onto this in a little bit. My phone shat itself today. So I used to do this real little quick thing, like when I had like a couple minutes to pad, which I very rarely did because I can usually talk a lot. But it was usually for like radio or TV or something.
Yeah.
And I'd get up there and I'd go, so I'm in checkout 4 where it's 6 items or less, and bitch has just put her 15th can of brand cat tuna on the belt, and watched it scan very closely before she gets another can to put on the belt, and watched it scan very closely. The 15-year-old behind the counter just wants to finish her shift and route her apprentice mechanic boyfriend. And you can see her going, this will happen in 20 minutes and I don't give a shit. And everyone behind this woman in the queue is getting Melbourne angry. And they're starting to get Melbourne livid. And you can tell this because everyone wearing black is starting to, and you know, but clearly a riot's about to break out. I have duty here because I'm right behind her, and I've got to say something. So I go, and everyone behind me said, "Well, yeah, okay, fair enough. That was strong, but it had to be done. Yeah. And so then bitch gets another can scanned and says, that's wrong price. And of course, it's the same can. And this goes on for a little bit. And the grunts escalate into a,
Right.
Then when checkout boy comes back and says, it's $1.15, like it always was. She goes, no, that's the wrong price. So I go, come with me, woman. We shall tango and find out. And I tango across the stage and dip at the produce. And then we go past the deli and go sniff the pastrami. Oh, yes, you will remember this night forever. And then I wander through the aisles, and then we look at the cat food. Oh, look, it's $1.15. Back to the aisle we go. And to my shock, everyone has gone through, except for her. And we put her last bits there, and I go, where's my basket gone? It's just gone. And she said, oh, it's all right. I was minding your stuff for you. Here you go. And just hands me the bag. And someone forgot to pay. Anyway, I didn't mind. We just left. Justice was done. And it was a nice little joke that just because it just went crazy for a little bit and then just came back down to normal and anchored. And it had a nice little sting in the tail with the checkout chick going, yeah, you can have your shit for free, bro.
Yeah.
Nice. No worries, mate. Grab that and piss off.
Yeah.
And the lovely little bit where everyone, when I'd been tangoing her around, she'd raced everyone through. Quick, come on, let's go.
While the weirdo's gone. Yeah. The Melbourne angry thing, I did that when I had to go to the sort of health centre for the setup for when I got my spit roast done. Just for the initial consult, I had to go see the surgeon. And there was a sign-in procedure, of course, COVID times, and it's a fucking it's mainly medical rooms. It's not a hospital, I don't think, but they might do some procedures in there. I'm not sure. But it's a big fucking building, private thingy. Anyway, so and just there's only one person in front of the room, and it's just this older woman, and she's arguing about everything the person at reception says to her. But I filled something like this out, and she's like, and I'm behind her going, just do it, just fucking do it. Just fucking do it. And
do it.
They also had a principle they didn't like if anyone was wearing the reusable masks, but they would give you a one-off disposable one
To put over the
because
top.
it's more hygienic. And so she has to make a scene about that too. What's wrong with this? And it's just fucking listen to what the person says and fucking do it. Just fucking. Why is it so hard? Why do you have to argue and again, it never. I never got more severe than just staring holes into the back of her head, like fucking whatever.
So a reasonable amount of Melbourne anger.
Yeah, it was like Melbourne anger. It was just like if she'd looked around, if she'd looked around, she would have got the look in my eye because I would have just been going, "What? Just go."
Yeah. Oh no.
I did actually talk across her because then there was like a thing where I'd get directions, and she was fucking wasting time over there, and so I just talked across her to the person behind, like, "Where's room 34?" And I went like down that way, and she turns around and went, "Ooh." I went, "You're doing that, okay?
Do that.
You're doing that thing. They've got an iPad there, and instead of just following the instructions, you're arguing about the instructions. Okay, so the person at reception wasn't busy because you're just being a fucking moron. So I just, tell me that. And did it slow you down, you fucking psycho? No.
No.
Oh, Stella is a ledge. It's time for Kirsten to check her dinner. Well done, Stella. I told everyone to remember.
What? I was just checking my clock just then, going, is that 15 or 13?
It's very close, yeah. So, and there's still food talk going on. Chris is discussing sides for spaghetti. Alexmir has suggested garlic bread, freely admitting it's not as healthy, but who wants healthy, man? Oh my God, there's this takeaway Italian place that has a couple of outlets near me, Eto, and they do really quite good pastas and pizzas, but they also do this garlic bread that's quite nice, and they do a cheesy one, which is just massive amounts of garlic butter and cheese on top and baked, and it's just like fucking so bad for you and so good.
I remember when I first moved here to Northcote, you shouted me a feed at a cafe which since has seen better times.
Right.
They got under new management soon after we were there.
Oh, no.
And we had a bruschetta pizza. Well, I had a bruschetta pizza. It got away on me. I couldn't get through it.
Yeah.
And I was introduced to the fold of Northcote food, which is it's a bit pricey, but Jesus Christ, you get 8 plates of it. They bring it out on 4 Nubian slaves bring it out on a litter and go, "This is the small for Mr. Celia." And you put it boom down, and you've got your they look like barbecue tools, but they're actually your knife and fork, and you just dig it in. Do
you remember those 70s salad tossing things, the big wooden spoon and fork? You'd have a big wooden salad bowl and these a big novelty wooden spoon and fork that was the height of I don't know what, but to toss your salad at the table.
Early 1980s.
Yeah, it's just
woo. It lasted till the 1990s. The big wooden.
I reckon you'd still find it in some kitchens. I
reckon you would.
Yeah,
I reckon you would.
Some stuff lasts forever.
But
I mean, I'm still, Voc liqueur is still a thing. I've got Voc liqueurs. My dad had, and I suppose on one level, dude, alcohol brands some of them last forever. But for me, Voc was just so
like Blue Nun.
Sorry?
Like Blue Nun.
Yeah. Oh, Blue Nun, the wine. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
God, that was offensive. It was a non-alcoholic wine.
Yeah.
And it was offensive. It tasted fucking awful. You'd think if you didn't have to put alcohol in it, you could at least flavor it into something nice. But it tasted like this vinegary shit. There was never any wine in it. I don't think there was any vinegar in it. They just they just, I don't know. I think they just whacked it into the Tiber and got the runoff from Rome.
It could have been it. It could have been it.
You know. So here you go. Catholics love it. Get it in India. Buddy, no, I think you'd still find the wooden handled knife and fork for salad tossing. I think you'd still find the penis and or vagina shaped ice cube makers.
You get them for hens nights, yeah.
For hens nights and or open-minded barbecues.
Yes.
And I think what we're going to find, because Boss the House insists on getting not Teflon, the silicon
mold.
tongs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have about 3 sets of silicon tongs with a special rounded tongue on one
I've got
side,
some of them. Yeah.
where it's been resting against the fry pan and or pot, and so it's specialized for very careful grabbing of food, because you don't need all of the tong. You only need half the tong, and they're not to be thrown away because they're perfectly functional. And I've been told that they were made that way on purpose. I've got to always be careful when Boss the House makes things on purpose. He made a whole broken set of plates on purpose once.
Nice.
And
the one I always loved is when you're in the kitchen and there's a plastic measuring cup that's half melted because someone's put hot oil into it at one point, thinking that would be fine. And you don't throw it out because it still works as a cup.
It still works fine.
It's misshapen. It's like the running joke. I kept those plastic, big plastic cups for you to drink out of, the Mankey cups, because they'd been on the bottom shelf of the dishwasher, and the heat thing on the dishwasher was too hot for them at that range and melted them, so they're all distorted. Everyone loves the Mankey cups. People drink out of them all the time.
It's beautiful. I don't get the studio angry diseases, and the angry family doesn't get the AIDSy diseases.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful fucking synergy of
good
fucking
system.
Safety and joy.
Oof.
You know?
While we're talking about food, Shieldsy's gone to town with a recipe. Aldi brand garlic bread, cut it in half, put tuna on some, then grated cheese, then spinach and rocket, top it off with more cheese, cook at 250 for 7 minutes or until the cheese goes brown.
That's a bit fucking
that sounds a bit
smart ass Shieldzy.
That sounds a bit magic.
It's next thing you'll know is you'll be putting fucking avocado and olives in it, and I can't be. That's
good.
Sounds like some shit you should put in a deli and put under plastic. And then microwave later. Shieldzy,
in the office when I made a sandwich because I found a place that had really good baguettes. It was 3 vegetables and not exotic ones. It was onion, capsicum, and mushroom. But because I had this hack where it was like if there was a sandwich press, I'd put the baking paper down and put a bit of butter on it, which would melt. And then I'd lightly score
foil
or oil. But there's usually butter and often not oil in a workplace
Didn't
kitchen.
you use foil, as in tin foil, on the...
No, because it gets too messy. It will work because it does conduct heat, but things tend to stick to foil and they don't stick to baking paper.
Nice.
So I'd lightly saute the vegetables and then put them in the baguette and then put that in the press again. And then the baguette would soak up the butter that they'd been sauteing in as well. And people would go like, "Oh, you're like a master chef." And I was like, for fuck's sake, that is like 3 ingredients and really common ones.
I've worked as a kitchen hand a lot. And
Yeah.
I've met a lot of master chefs, and they're not.
No.
What they are is not fuckwits.
Yeah.
And they know enough food chemistry to put 5 ingredients together at once. And
Side? No, okay.
if you can do that, then you can get paid anywhere up to 6 figures.
Yeah.
Because basically you know how they're going to interact. And a few of them were telling me as they were going, because I became star kitchen hand in a lot of kitchens, actually.
Yeah.
And star kitchen hand on a very, very busy night, you don't actually do anything. You coordinate. So you've got usually 2 chefs, 2 apprentices, and a cook to serve.
Yeah. Yeah.
The wait staff are running orders in and food out. They're doing the drinks outside. You've got a couple of scullers, and you've got 2 more kitchen hands. The scullers can be taken off washing up in an emergency to go fetch. But that's the kitchen hands' job. The kitchen hands are supposed to be washing up big fat pots and fire pans, but everything else the scullers do. And sometimes if you really push, the scullers will get the pots as well. They'll move one sculler around to the big sinks. It's not uncommon in the middle of service to hear superstar kitchen hand go, we've run out of potato skins. I'm going to go and get a 50-kilo bag of potatoes. We need the left sink drained so that I can peel them now, because we have 5 bowls of potato skins to put in the oil in the next 10 minutes. And so I'll bail, and after I've given everyone their instructions. And you've got to make sure that the chefs and the chefs' pot, containers are full of what they want. Bits of capsicum, bits of bacon, bits of this, bits of that, which is all stored in the cool room or in the prep area. You've got to make sure that the apprentices have raw ingredients like flour, like butter, like sugar, like lard, like stock, ready to roll. You've got to make sure that the meals that need salads on them have got salads formed on them, and they're not just fucking salads that you put on. They've got to grow like a tower. They've got to grow like a piece of modern art, and they've all got to go the same way. They've all got to look exactly the same, which is ridiculous because you're building these fucking things in a 3D shape. And you've got to build 15 of them in about 5 minutes, right? So you've got to really fucking move. You got to imagine like this place is just moving. There's hands going all the time.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you realise there's not enough potatoes. So I now have to coordinate this whole kitchen, because I tell the kitchen hands, go get capsicum, go get bacon bits, go get lard, go get fucking stock, go get flour, do up these, do 15 barramundi salads, do 5 steak salads, get out the flags for medium, well done, rare, medium rare is the rest. And get the Diane sauce, get the pepper sauce out, get the Parmigiana sauce out, and get the chickens starting to crumb, because we'll need 3 of those in the future. How do you know that? They're not ordered. I know psychically that we're going to need 3, because 1 will go out and 2 more will want them. Anyway, so the chef's quiet. The chef is not saying a word. And if the chef is not saying a word, then the night is going great, right? If the chef has to start saying, where the fuck is, why hasn't, why am I not seeing, why is this, then you're not having a good night. And shit flows downhill, and star superstar kitchen hand is on the bottom. Only met by the other two kitchen hands, who usually find a reason to go out and smoke or leave the restaurant. And so I'll be peeling fucking potatoes, and you're supposed to peel them thick because that's it's like chips, right? But you're having the skin of the potato, and you wash the dirt off mostly, and then you get the skin off, and then you put that in there, and you get this little bit of potato left, and that goes into a tub. And we were always having the trouble with having too much potato that was peeled and nothing to do with it. We would mash up a shitload of it and make it into stands for dishes, like sculptured stands for dishes. But we always have too much, so we take it around to old folks' homes and they just eat it mashed, like fresh potato for free, because we were just going to fucking throw it out otherwise. So they'd come around once a week with a ute, and there'd be these tubs of potatoes going on, and so I'd be coordinating this kitchen with my back to the kitchen and just using sonar to hear what was going on, and to know where everyone was.
Yes,
and I'd know that the scullers were starting to slow down, and I'd say, "Scullers, you'll need to pick it up because there's pots coming that I can't do." And they'd look at each other going, "How does he know? How does he know?" And then the apprentices would start to try something on with the kitchen hand, and go, "Yes, it's all very funny, apprentices, but we've got 100 covers out there. We might just want to move it quickly. Throw the frying pan under my feet. That's right, left." And I'd pick my feet up at the right time, and they'd be going, "You're supposed to hit him in the ankle." And then all of a sudden, the wait staff would come in and go, "Last order," and we'd get it done. And then
You're dead.
Outside, smoko, drinks, and the nights would go very quickly. But I got to talk to a lot of chefs about making food. And they would go, "Look, it's not a charity. We're here for profit. It's a small business. We're trying to make money." And you get the freshest ingredients you can for the cheapest prices you can, and you put them together in novel ways to make flavors that are really interesting, so that your customers will go, "Oh, I can't get that anywhere else. I'll have to come back here and get that because that's my favoriteest thing in the world." And he said, "It's no wonder fucking Chinese restaurants fucking use MSG because it tastes fucking great on chow mein. It's awesome."
Stella was talking about something earlier that Mrs. Angry was using that I just heard. It's called yeast something or other. Nutritional yeast. That's what it's called, basically. And it kind of smells like Vegemite, which is not that surprising with Vegemite being a yeast extract. And it looks like fish flakes, in at least the one Mrs. Angry had. And she had this thing, it was veggies and rice, which was a bit bland. So just goes, "Oh, this will make it taste good. Just put this nutritional yeast on it and mix it in, and yum." And like MSG. And as it turns out, now, these days, people being a bit more honest, the whole MSG is bad for you thing was just stupid racist nonsense. Well, it's a type of salt. MSG is a type of salt. It is no more bad for you than any other salt.
Any other salt. That's right. It's just, and the reason asthmatics were having bad reactions to it is it's a shitload of salt. And if you give asthmatics a shitload of salt, they will have an asthma attack. Hey,
Yeah.
Magic. And basically, there's, there's so many things that are basically chefs finding novel ways to get flavors and preparation out. And preparation is such a victim of fashion. What happens on your plate is dictated by something like 8 restaurants in the world. And the way they style their plates is the way plates are going to be styled for the next 5 years everywhere in the English-speaking world. That is the way it's going to be. And then it'll get basically down to your country bistro, and then they'll change it again. And then it just takes years to float through. Yeah. And you've just got to be ready to... I mean, we used to have fucking chefs go through fucking women's magazines to check out what crap they were serving in France to see if they could emulate the presentation of the dish. But unfortunately for us, in the 90s, Europe went through a period of tiny little portions done with minimalist
Nouvelle cuisine.
That haute cuisine sort of stuff.
Nouvelle cuisine.
And, the Australians were going, fuck shit, because Australians will not stand for that crap one iota. If you give them something the size of a fucking Arnott's biscuit on a plate, they'll go, where's the fucking rest? I am not paying $28.50 for that. Fucking get me a feed. And so you've got to unfuck it up. And the restaurant, the wait staff are getting shouted at, which is never a good look. So our chefs were really good at it. They would look at these settings and go, all right, if we did half the plate like an Art Deco fucking woman looking behind a clock, and the clock was made up of a beef Wellington shaped like a fucking Big Ben.
Very artistic, yes.
And then you had 13 steps coming down in olives and artichoke hearts. And then a guy smoking a cigarette. His shadow is smoking a cigarette made out of soy sauce, but he himself is made out of pate. Now that will work, because you get this big feed of meat in the middle, and then you get the garden as the salad, and then you get this cool couple of pictures going on done in lines of sauce. It took them a little while to get it together, but once they got it together, they could fucking whip these things up. They could whip up these pictures in fucking
repetition.
No time. That was the apprentice's job, to fucking splat. And every now and again we'd go, how are you feeling? Because the woman's got the shits today. Because in the particular place I worked, which was really classy, we had one girl apprentice and one boy apprentice. And I say girl and boy because she was 16 and he was 15. And you'd forget working with these people all day that they were 15
children.
And 16. And then he'd say something that was so immature and so ridiculous. And you go, oh, that's right. You're 15. Oh, right. You're doing something now at 15 that I didn't do till I was 25. Right. And she would fucking have physical ailments. And because she was a woman, she didn't want to ever appear weaker than the guys, ever. Which was unfortunate when she had an ovarian cyst explode.
Oh, yikes.
and we knew she was in trouble. We were looking at it, and the boss actually came up to me and said, "You keep your eye on her all night. I'm not happy. She's in pain. If she looks like she's shaken, fucking get her out of here." And I'm going, "Right, boss." And I was more and more not working and just looking at her because she was sweating and she was really shaking. And she's clutched at her tum and screamed. The whole fucking restaurant heard it. The whole kitchen stopped and down she's gone. And we've gone, here's not the place to be. So I've picked her up and took her out the back, which was a loading dock, which is, of course, so romantic.
Yes.
But it was where we
Lovely,
could get the ambulance in a
situation,
big hurry. And we got the ambulance in a big hurry.
Yeah.
And she said, I'll be all right. Blood. And we were going, oh, Jesus. And she's going, I'll be all right. And on my arm where I had her, she was bleeding out of her other end as well. And I'm going, I'm so unhappy with this. And the ambulance came and I said, oh, I think I might pop along for the ride. Right. And they said, oh, are you family? And I said, no, I'm just a colleague, but she's going to lie to you and I'm not. She said, fuck off, I'm fine. And the ambulance driver's going, you're really not. She was going to the doctor, said, fine. They're going, you're really not.
Yeah.
And she's going,
I can't show weakness.
And they said, that'll shut her up. And so they took her in, they scanned her, and they said, oh. And I've gone, what? And they said, oh, are you able to know? And I said, well, I've got to do the workers' comp report. And they said, well, she's going to be off work for a month. She's had an ovarian cyst explode and taken most of her ovary with it. And I've gone, I just go,
yikes.
And I've rung up the boss and said,
bad.
Look,
bad news, bad.
And she tried to come back to work in 2 weeks, and the boss went, go home.
Of course, don't show weakness.
No, that's the whole thing. Went, go home. I'm not going to get fucking sued by the government for taking you into his kitchen. Go the fuck home. But I'm bored. Good. Be bored. Watch TV
for another couple of weeks.
I don't care. Go the fuck home.
Taking things back to the cheerier idea of food decorations, Stella mentioned.
But she was really good at it. But you could tell her mood as to how she was decorating. The guy was a bit different. He was a bit more cagey. And he invented the smoking guy silhouette out of pate and soy sauce. He was very proud of that. I thought that was a bit cool. One of the chefs invented the 13 steps with the olives and the artichoke hearts, which was kind of cool. And Big Ben was made out of, like I said, beef Wellington, but it had been char grilled. And of course, you get all the Gothic lines of Big Ben. And the way they did the clock face was they got a mandrel made out of cast iron and stuck it on the grill so they could plop Big Ben straight down on the char grill and then pop it up, and then you've got the clock at what was it on the film? It was at 10:15. That's what it was.
All right.
And
I was just going to say on that front, Stella relating of having rabbit ravioli. That was slightly more difficult to say than I thought it would be. Rabbit ravioli, and the ravioli were placed on the plate in the shape of a cartoon bunny, including baby carrots for the whiskers. She says it was cute as fuck and also yummy. So
would have been nice.
And Kirsten's just confirming her dinner tonight was good. Was your co-worker okay? You've upset A. Well, that they want to know that she ended up being all right.
She was, because we didn't allow her to. She wanted to keep working. And because we said fuck no, they actually managed to get her into surgery that night. We were all as a staff, it was
Yes.
insisted that we eat a meal a shift, and we were watched eating this meal, because when you're working around food all the time, you don't eat, because it just starts to disgust you after a while. And you see it all the time. You go to a lot of restaurants and the wait staff are really skinny, and the chefs are really skinny. And what happens is you're around this for 8, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, and you just go, I can't. Maybe I'll pick up a burger from fucking Macca's on the way home, which is what most chefs fucking do. And that's it, you know. And you get through half your Big Mac and go, oh, I can't even be bothered. And then maybe drink 6 beers and go to bed. So we all had to eat a meal, and we were watched eating this meal so that we didn't just eat 2 bites and get rid of it.
Yeah.
So that we would have enough energy to hit the dinner and lunch rushes tomorrow. And when we hit those rushes, we hit them pretty hard. We had 60 covers in the actual space, but we used to do 250 for lunch, and we used to do 400 for dinner often. So that's you flipping tables, you know, for hours, and just going all the time. You know, orders coming in, orders going out, make it go. And you know, you've got to get your logistics. That's where the kitchen hand comes in. Your logistics has got to be flowing all the time. The zen of food in, food out. You know, the chef's got to worry about deliveries. That's not my problem. And so she had forgone her break to have an extra smoko and a bit of marching candy. And
yes, that'll keep you going. Yeah.
Fuck, we all did, believe you me. Sometimes it was funny. We'd get to work, and I'm not saying even which city this was in. Rhymes with Sydney, and it was kind of a funny joke, because the chef would go, "Okay, line up and have your vitamins," and
Have your vitamins.
So it's like a disco bicky in 2 speeds, and fucking boom, away you went. Halfway through the night, it'd be like, let's go. By the end of the night, though, everything's like worn off, because you're just so, you know, you're pushing so hard and so fast.
Yeah.
And then you know, you're just like, okay, I've had enough. Cut the cake. I want to go to bed. Have a shower. And we all used to get special soap to get that kitchen grime off us, and we all had subsidies on our laundry, because we'd take it to a particular laundromat who could get the kitchen oil and fat out of our clothes.
Yeah.
And if you couldn't get it to there,
yes,
you have to do it at home with this particular soap, and you'd actually see this yellow brown crap come out when you heated up the water. It'd come out of the wrunged up clothes, and it'd be like, I'm wearing that. So this film of shit would come off you, and it would be wonderful. You'd get to bed and go, and then get up and do it all over again. So she had forgone her break and not eaten. So by the time she was in pain, but she was on enough substances to let it go. And then finally it burst. And so they got her into hospital and said, we've really got to operate now. When did she last eat? And I remembered, oh, you didn't have your meal. You had a break but not a meal. You had your smoke and that was it. And I said, did you have brekkie? And she went, no, I was late. And I said, did you have dinner last night? And she went, no, I was on late last night. I came and went straight home. And I said, so you didn't eat until 8 o'clock last night, and it was now 10 o'clock this night. And they went, fucking great. And they put us straight in the OR, and made the neatest little incision ever in her belly button. because later on we're all going, show us your scar. And she said, you can't see it. It's on the belly button.
Yeah, the keyhole surgery. That was
they keyholed it because
a
when
major
they got
breakthrough
close
when
off,
they did that.
they
Yeah,
went,
yeah.
wow, she's taken a lot of care of her body, like a lot. Well, we're not going to put scars all through it. I know what we'll do. We'll keyhole through her belly button, and so no one will see the scar. And I know another woman that they did that to for the same reason. And I said, if someone's going to put that much effort into making their body, because I mean, you know what doctors see every day. I mean, they see the worst, unhealthiest people in the world. They go, you know, fucking pick up a tennis racket, just pick it up, just pick it up. And you know, and then I see people who like really give a shit about actually keeping healthy, and they go, right, well, we want to fucking give them a quality outcome. Yeah. And so they did their good work, and they said, well, we're glad you brought her in because she didn't want to go in. She didn't want to go in. No. So we're glad you brought her in because if she'd have stayed another hour, you would have had to have rung the cops. Really? Yeah. Yes, because she would have been dead.
Calling the coroner, not the ambulance.
You would have rung the ambulance. They would have rung the cops. And I'm looking at you now, and I'm thinking you wouldn't have wanted the cops in that place. And I was saying, frankly, doctor, no. Frankly, doctor, no. And he said, I want to have a real frank conversation with you about what she took tonight. And I said, I'm going to give you some very frank answers. Yeah. And I did. And I gave him chapter and verse and quantities because I saw her. Yeah. And he went, oh, okay. What about water? And I said, oh, yeah, lots of water. Yeah. That was my job.
Your first incident at a party or a rave or a nightclub dealing with ambos, and like, just tell me what they took. I'm not a cop, okay? You don't have to lie to me. Just be straight. And because you start off being really cagey, like, I think they had a vitamin to see them through the night, and then they go like, I'm not a cop. You don't have to lie to me. I just want to do the right treatment. To the best of your knowledge, what did they have? And actually understanding that that's real, that they don't rat you out later.
It was funny, you know, even back in the day when they did rat you out, me and the boys, well, okay, we had a pretty much of a tragedy happen. One of the lads flaked out. Yeah. And he said, I'm fine to get home. And he wasn't fine to get home. And he went missing for a few days, and he had some fairly serious injuries, and ended up in hospital for a few months because he got quite sick. And so we said, well, we're not having that again, which is when we invented the plastic bag. And the plastic bag was something that if you're going to come out with us, you've got to have a plastic bag, a money bag, and in that has got to be a roll of sticky tape, a card with your name and address on it, a pencil, and $20. And so if you flake, the card comes out and gets taped to your head. And the pencil writes down exactly what you've had, when, and how much. And the $20 goes to a cabbie. And back in those days, $20 would get you to Brisbane and back. And the $20 goes to the cabbie, and we'd make a big show of looking at the numbers on the cab and writing it down. And you've got to get him to his mother at the front door, otherwise, and if you do, you get to keep the $20. And it was like, sweet. And they were like, great. Is he going to be sick? Not really going to be a problem, is it? Nope, not. Just stick his head out the window, be fine. He's not going to be sick. He is going to, however, try and tell you about God. Don't worry about that.
Ignore that.
Usually don't. And so we were always worried that the mothers would hate us for doing this because, that we abandoned poor Johnny and he came home in a mess. But the mothers loved the shit out of us because we didn't abandon poor Johnny, and we made damn sure he got home safe. And mothers loved it. They thought this was fucking. The guys were okay because they looked after one another. So one night, one of the guys crashed pretty hard. He did a couple of stupid things. He injected a couple of things he shouldn't have, and then he took ketamine on top, and he crashed real hard. And I believe it was a weapon. And myself were there going, this is not okay. This is call adults time. And so we called there were some cops actually, and we called them over. Get over here. We need an ambulance. This guy's crashing really hard. He is really about to go into arrest. He's had this. He's had it this time. He's had this amount. He's had this.
Yeah.
And the cops are like writing all this down, going. And the other cop said, "This is to give to the ambos, okay? This is why we've got to do this." And they're on the phone like, "No, we need it now. No, we really need it now." And because the ambos were good, but there were 3 of them, so you could never get them. And the cop was on the radio frantically going, no, this needs to happen. And so the ambo turns up and happily gives his kid some Narcan, and it doesn't work. And everyone's freaking out. Like, fuck, it always works. And just didn't. And by that time, there were like 3 of us compressing. Keep going, keep fucking going. And the ambos would be going. The ambos said, we could always try. And there's a super Narcan. Like, there's a fucking real kick-ass. It's like mixed with adrenaline and mixed with a couple of other things you don't want to know about. And they gave him that, and it was like, oh! And he was going, oh God, I feel really sick. And they're going, oh. And as soon as he said, I feel really sick, they were going, oh.
That's a relief.
That's great, because he's supposed to feel really sick.
The fact that he's feeling something and being conscious of what he's feeling. Yeah.
Not only conscious of what he's feeling, this stuff is a really powerful emetic. You're supposed to feel really sick. You're supposed to then try and vomit, and then you're supposed to shit yourself, which he promptly did. And
to
we're
get
all
stuff
going,
out of your system,
justice. You fucked up our night, and we will never let you live this down. We are your supportive friends.
Fair. Well, I want to say quick hello, Robot Man Greg, by the way. And you remind me of my brother is a paramedic these days. He's in Bathurst. He went to uni at Bathurst and never basically left and became an ambo. And when he first they didn't have paramedics outside of Sydney, but they actually changed the rule, so he got to be a paramedic. But ambos in New South Wales, at least, all do their training in Sydney, even if they're going to work in rural areas. They train in Sydney. And some people would say it's a coping mechanism. I say it's because he was a bastard, because when you asked him about stories about what happened, he's like a stand-up comedian with describing the fucked up shit that they deal with on a nightly basis in Sydney and inner suburbs. And he's just going like, junkies are so fucking dumb, man. It's like, they listen to anything. And that's the thing, because before he was a paramedic, if an ambo starts resuscitation, if anyone sees them start, they're not allowed to stop until a paramedic gets there. A doctor or paramedic pronounces. And so he's telling stories about how, showed up as, some junkie squat and our friend, and the guy's like purple, and they're just like, oh shit. And they're looking and they're going, oh, he's so dead. And
he's so dead. There's no coming back from this. And
all the junkies are looking at them really hopefully, and they went, let's try resuscitation. And they're like, got the squeezy bag on his face because they're not going anywhere near it. And the other one's doing chest. And it's got to the stage, like this guy's bled into his lungs or whatever, when the one pressing on the chest presses down, blood spurts up into the bag, and they're just going, and they're just saying stuff like, well, I better warm them up to the fact that this is not going to work. And they're just going like, oh, I think we got here too late, well, let's keep doing our best, but if only we'd got here 10 minutes earlier, I don't think this is going to work. And the junkies are all just standing around them. And he said we spent 10 minutes basically as much as we could say, he is fucking dead and he's not coming back. And finally the paramedic gets there and looks at the situation and goes, okay, stop, okay.
Just stop. Just
and the junkies go, well, they're stopping. And the paramedic goes, okay, he's dead. I'll pronounce. It's like 2:38 a.m. And the junkies all go, what? This is terrible. And we're all just okay. We had spent 10 minutes warming them up like we were too late. Oh, I wish we could do more. This one's not coming back. And none of it penetrated. And someone just said, stop trying to resuscitate the dead person. He's dead. And the junkies got really upset. And I was just like, oh my God.
I was in line at the methadone line.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say that because everyone knows it now.
Yeah.
I was in line and someone had seen Code Grey.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And they went, you were in Code Grey? And I went, I really was. And they went, I didn't know it was you. I went, yeah, it really was. And I've been lining up with you for years. And I seen it again the other day because my mate was there because we was talking about Medicare and that. And I seen Code Grey and said, that's you. That's a show about Medicare. And then I seen you. And I went, yeah. And she said, oh, I love the bit where you died. That was,
yes, that is a good
so
bit.
sad. Oh, tears. And I went, you did realise I was going to come back though, didn't you?
Yeah.
For a bit, I was worried. And I'm just, every time. Yeah. Anyway, she said she had a situation where she was in the junkie house. The guy had crashed. They didn't stuff around. They called the ambulance. The ambos come in and they weren't as stoned as the ambos thought they might have been. And they sort of were looking at each other going, this guy's, forget it. And so they go through the motions and they put the Narcan in and they go, oh, yeah, compress. Then they put a bit more Narcan in and apparently the ambos shit themselves and went, oh,
he came back. Oh, no.
Oh, Jesus, he's alive. She said, after that, I don't know if I trust him or not.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Yeah. I want to stress we're joking. No, we're joking about ambos and paramedics, and I stress that I was telling the jokes my brother, the paramedic, says. But they are very selflessly dedicated, and like I say he has been a paramedic or ambo or paramedic for 30 years in the country, and he told one story that's kind of like the opposite. When you're in the country, like when you're in the city, you get gross shit all the time. Accidents, overdoses, all the time. When you're in the country, it happens less often, but the situation's usually more extreme when it does happen.
Worse.
So
much
he
worse.
Gets
because
called
that
out.
Has been there for 10 hours before you got to it.
Or it was at a much higher speed. He got called out to a farm one day, and this was about 30. How far was it? Was near Safala. How far was Safala from Bathurst? 30 kilometres.
30 kilometres, but always nearly an hour drive.
Yeah, because it's this narrow,
round and out and around and back in.
Narrow, twisty country road, not a proper road. So they're at this thing that would normally at any even a reasonable speed would be 40 minutes from where he was. And they get to this farm, and the farmer's been chainsawing a thing, and the chain has snapped, and it's whipped back and slashed him right across here. Okay, and it's just fucked. And his whole family's around him, including little kiddies, when they get there, and they go in there and they're like, fuck. And they're like doing the whole pinching off major blood vessels and stuff. And they're just going, shit. And they got these little kids like staring, and they tried to say, go, but the kids don't go away, and they're like staring in the face. And like, quick, get him in the truck. And he's going to the kids like, are you going to save my daddy? And they're like, what? And they're going like, he's got 10 or 15 minutes to live. And they just went, fuck it, I'm not telling those kids he didn't live. And they just booted it in this ambulance which has an engine the size of a small country in it.
Yes, it does.
Those Fords.
You open those things up and they look at you and they go, what are you looking at, cunt? They are huge and they mean it. And you floor an ambulance and it really moves.
And he said if there had been other traffic on the road, it would have ended badly. It would have ended really, but we just risked it, and it's just like foot to the floor. And they did get him there in time, and he did live. But they were just like, it was just like, this should not have been possible. But I had these little kids staring in my eyes, going, "Are you going to save my daddy?" And they saved that. And so they just went, I'm not going to tell them I didn't try, because their initial thought was, we'll never get him back in time. This is hopeless. But I'm never telling those kids that. And they just did this insane run back to Bathurst and made it in about 15 minutes instead of 30 minutes. And it was just... you just do it. You just get this adrenaline rush, and you're just like, ah!
When I was getting my reconstruction, and for those people who don't know, they had to give me a new ball bag, and that took months because it was yet another skin graft. They took a bit of my leg and turned it into a tennis ball, and then gave me a new ball bag. Popped the balls out of my leg into the bag. It was great work. Yeah. But it took a long time to heal, and I had time, lots and lots of time to do lots and lots of nothing. And I was sitting upstairs in Royal Melbourne Hospital on floor 9, where the helicopter pad is. I was looking in the chairs out at the helicopter pad. And when there's a helicopter coming in, usually security and the other doctors say, you go off. But I was sitting so quietly in a far corner that I was invisible. I turned invisible. And I wasn't doing anything. And this helicopter comes in flat. They don't come in flat. They come in high, and then they come down at a very gentle angle, and they turn around, and this helicopter came in flat and virtually skidded around, like feathered the blades, engine goes off, and the back just drops down. I'm going, oh. And what had also been happening was there was lots of doctors and the bed sitting up there, and they were starting to jiggle as they heard the helicopter come in. Helicopter comes in, door comes down, guys coming out of the helicopter with helmets on, dragging this bed out. They do the sheet across on the main bed and bang through double doors. And then someone opened the patient lift, because there's 3 sets of lifts in a hospital. There's human lifts. There's service lifts where the food comes up and down, and linen and stuff like that. And there's patient lifts, and the patient lifts aren't to be used by anyone else. I mean, if you're a doctor who wants a sneaky way to get somewhere, sometimes they'll do that. Anyway, the patient lift comes up, and they've put the key in, and it's opened, and there's 3 doctors in there, and they say, "Get the fuck away!" And they're like, straight out of this, and they drag the key in behind them, whack the key in into the inside the lift, turn it, and I'm thought, you're going to break that key in a minute, mate. And then the voice goes, operating room, floor 2, operating, and the door closes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I think that person's going to OR2.
Yes,
now.
that sounded urgent.
Immediately, this is going to happen right now.
Yeah.
And there was a surgeon there gowned up, already starting to do things. There was an anaesthetist sticking needles in arms. They were looking at what they'd already got on the chart. They were going with that. There was blood coming out for testing. They were doing it all as they were moving. They didn't miss a beat. They didn't stop. But this was the fastest helicopter transfer I'd ever seen. And I'd seen a few by the time I was in there.
Yes, you get to see them.
Anyway, finally the chopper pilots and the two ambos, the two ambos were there looking at each other on the pad, and they were sort of breathing hard, going, "Ooh, okay, ooh, okay." So they look at their bed and they go, "Oh, okay, we've lost one of those, and we haven't got one of those. Don't worry about it. We'll get another one." They put it all back in, and they put everything back, and then the pilot goes right round the chopper to look at it if anything's actually broken. And then they start it up again, and they move this helicopter sort of 45 degrees, and then put it back down again, and stop it. And then they put the tie downs in the chocks, and it's like, I reckon that's how it's supposed to have gone.
Yes, yeah, they're putting it in for a proper landing that time.
You know, this is where it was supposed to end up, but it was like, nah.
Congratulations, you got me to snort with that doctor impression. That was an uncontrolled snort response on my part. But
yes. Please excuse me for just a moment. I shall return.
Yeah. All right. Return in time to say good evening. Yes, I did see who's an Aussie ASMR asking if I was going to do the link tonight. It's just so late. I'm going to go to bed in a minute. Well, definitely it'll be Angry Bunch tomorrow. What's that, Shieldsy? The Ambos on the islands. Do one job, get a second job at the same time, do a second pickup before getting them both. Yeah, it's the stress. The stress all frontline medical staff get. Ambos, paramedics, nurses, doctors, people in triage. The stress on frontline medical staff is astonishing. And around the world, not so much in Australia and New Zealand, for instance, they got away with it, but all through Europe and the Americas and whatnot, the poor fucking medical staff have been in stress mode for a year now. And that's not sustainable. That's a fucking terrible thing to do. And on top of that, on top of the stress mode of dealing with this unprecedented situation with COVID, they've also got to deal with the lunatics who abuse them and say it isn't real. And not just on social media and not just idiots outside the hospital, but there are horrific stories of medical staff having to deal with someone who's dying from COVID, and they're just like accosting the staff and saying, "It's not real. That's not what's wrong with me. What did you do to me? What have you done?" And fighting them when they're on a respirator. And it's just like, you're not allowed to say, "Well, I'm just going to wheel you out the back and let you die." Alexander, is that your line of work, saying it's not been fun? I mean, it's not. It's terrible. It's even just normal medical world is beyond what most people understand. Like I said, I've got a brother who's a paramedic. I had a girlfriend who I lived with for a couple of years who was a nurse. So I got to see how it affects people, and I got a lot of inside stories. It was fucked. Captain Deadpool. At least it's not America where they have guns. I'm really relieved and even slightly surprised that there has not yet been an incident in an American hospital with guns, because there are some very unhinged people in America. But there was a video circulated last week. It was from the UK of some lunatic family, including the old guy who's on a respirator, and they're saying you can't take him away. He'll die. He'll be dead in 30 minutes without that oxygen. And he's going, no, I won't. It was Monty Python shit, except real. He's going, no, I'm feeling better. And it's just like, no, you're not. You're not fooling anyone. And except fooling his whole family, because they were all COVID deniers. And eventually they all, including the sick guy, got thrown out for security reasons because they were getting so fucking out there. It's like, okay, you're actually dangerous. You're dangerous to everyone. All of you need to get the fuck out. We're taking him. Fucking take him. Fucking take him and get the fuck out. And they go, oh, if all he needs is oxygen, we've got oxygen at home. You go, you don't have a respirator at home, and he'll be dead before you get him home anyway. So fucking go. No, they never said that, but that was clearly what it got to at a certain point. It's like, you know what? You lot are now actually dangerous, and you need to get the fuck out. And they threw them out. Oh, Christ, Alexander, you're frontline in the UK. Fuck. Okay. It could be worse, dude. You could be in the US. But Jesus, the UK is pretty fucking fraught, my man. So massive hat tip to you, my friend, because fuck me. Like, again, you talk to anyone who works in frontline health and they go, you get days that are like that, but to have a fucking year that's like that, that's not good. That's not good.
You know, I once had a bit of a win in a hospital.
Yeah.
Because I had this guy in a bed diagonally opposite to me, and he had an MBA.
Yeah.
So he was, so he was very clever, don't you know? And obviously superior to anyone else.
Yeah.
The carpenter next to him wanted to kill him, and I said, "Don't just yet, because I've got to have a go first." And he laughed at that. MBA didn't even understand what we were talking about.
Sorry, I just want to share a little in joke now that you reminded me of, that you'll know. Remember who we used to argue, and Edwin was in these arguments, who'd get to punch this particular arsehole in the face first. He's dead now, so we don't have to worry about it.
He's dead now, so it doesn't matter. But
in case any of you think we're too nice, I'm just gloating over this piece of shit who's dead. But anyway, go ahead, AZ.
Yeah, we're not nice. Anyway, so this MBA was just that guy. Anyway, the nurses had come in, and of course they have to treat everyone the same. They don't. And I've said to the carpenter, "Hey, big fella," and he said, "Yeah, how long was your apprenticeship?" He said, "Oh, standard, 3 years." And I said, how long did you journeyman for?" And he said, "Oh, again, it was pretty standard, 3 years." And I said, "And your master's was what?" And he said, "Oh, I did the extra cabinetry and chippy on top, so it was another 3 years on top of that. So you've been to uni 9 years."
Yeah.
Right.
So you're a professor.
Nurse Alabaster, you went to uni for, it was 4 years initially, and then 2 years of makeup to get me 3 specializations. Oh, so that's 6 years. And MBA, you went to uni for, it's a 1 year for MBA. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. And I did a 15-year apprenticeship as a comic and a 5-year master's. So we're all smarter than you.
Yeah.
And
we all qualify as professors. Yeah.
Effectively everyone's a professor, and this dickhead was a turd, and everyone laughed. And then he spent the rest of his time there trying to be cleverer than me, and which was funny because he just picked the wrong things. Like he'd pick things that obviously an idiot comedian wouldn't know, like physics.
Yeah.
And maths. And
So, oh no, you picked the Aspie guy who reads all that shit.
right, what do people do? They watch movies. What do? I watch documentaries. I
Yeah.
surf the internet looking for interesting science bits.
Yeah.
Because I'm like that. And sci-fi, sci-fact is fucking great. When you become El Presidente, I'm going to become science minister. And
Absolutely.
and we're going to have a weapons division, a hard physics division, and continue with the agricultural division, and mix them all up, because I want to see weaponized bio-enhanced plants grown in the desert and then bombed over Mexico. We'll take America.
Yeah.
Well, they've got their Africanized fucking killer bees. I love
Yes.
Africanized killer bees. That doesn't talk about racism at all.
That was a weird phrase they were using in America.
Africanized.
Yeah.
It's bad now.
Sounds like the Clintons and Joe Biden in the 90s talking about super predators. It's automatically bad if they're Africanized. And I was like, oh, gee. Okay.
And they found out that the Africanized came from a news station. It didn't actually come from any uni or paper or study or fucking biologist. They're in fact a subspecies of a mix between an Australian and a European bee. They've got the Australian bee shape, but the European bee size. So they're fucking enormous. And they've somehow got the ability to sting, withdraw the sting without, there's no barbs on their sting. So they sting, withdraw, and sting again. And then they can go away for a few hours, refill their sac, and come back. So if a swarm can hit you, it can hit you over and over and over again. And the whole point is it's fuck off from my hive. I'm really unimpressed with your action. The queen moves around quite a bit, because they're grown up in hot countries where you've got to go where the flowers go. So the hive has to move, and where the queen is, the hive is. So they've got to be ready to get on the road now, and they've got to get ready to daisy cutter the LZ for the queen to make a nice house for them all. And they've got to be ready to do it in a hurry, and if you're in the way, then sorry, bud, that's your fucking problem. Very much like the Australian colonisation. So they multiple stings, and it's normal bee venom, which won't kill you, but if you get stung 150 times,
enough times, yes,
it's the dose that makes the poison.
You get essentially a massive allergic response if 200 bees sting you, and your body just goes
over and over again. If you get like upwards of 9 and 8 and 9 and 12, fucked.
Sorry, just before bedtime. This is a fun one. Stella brought up. She goes, "That sounds like you just described the Gimpy plant, aka the suicide plant. Do you know that one? It's a stinging plant. It's got pointy barbs." But it's like a nuclear grade nettle, and it's been described as, when she calls it the suicide plant, because when someone gets a bad sort of dose of it, they're in such racking pain. A common thing is begging medical staff to kill them, because pain relief doesn't work. It's some sort of psycho neurotoxin from a fucking tree for some reason. And just brushing up against it is nightmarish. But it's called the suicide plant because it's renowned for people who've had a bad dose of it, scream and whatnot, and beg medical staff to kill them. I only heard about this about a year ago. There's some story about it. And he goes, "What's that? That doesn't sound real." And I looked it up and I go, "Motherfucker!"
Is it an Australian plant?
Yeah, let's look. We'll sign off
Because
with
it
this.
sounds like an Australian plant. It sounds like
It
an
is.
Australian plant to me. It sounds like just the kind of thing an Australian plant would do. Because the other thing that I've heard people say, "Please kill me," is a platypus barb. If you get barbed by a platypus, people say, "Please kill me," because you can't get painkillered out of that either.
Yeah, I'm going to show this. The gimpy, it is Australian, obviously. Yeah, something about a scientist. Her first encounter with it produced a sneezing fit and left her eyes and nose running for hours, and she didn't touch it. She was wearing protective particle masks and gloves, and even with all this protective gear, she ended up needing hospitalization, and it also caused a severe allergy in her. And she says being stung is the worst pain you can imagine, like being burnt with hot acid and electrocuted at the same time. And yes, apparently you get unfortunate people get a really severe ongoing allergic reaction as well. It's a rainforest plant.
You'd think some of these fucking plants would just put red spots on themselves.
Yeah,
really,
to make it
that's
stay
all
away.
you need. You know, why do you need to be so fucking aggressive about it? You don't need to go Israeli army every fucking time an animal comes near you. You just fucking put red spots on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No.
Okay, these are anecdotal, but probably true. A North Queensland road surveyor reporting in 1866 that his horse was stung, got mad, and died within 2 hours. And then there's military stories with people on operations and whatnot. In 1994, Australian ex-serviceman Cyril Bromley described falling into a stinging tree during military training. He ended up strapped to a hospital bed, strapped down for 3 weeks, and the entire time they were trying treatments and none of them worked. Nothing relieved the pain. And he described himself as being mad as a cut snake. And the folklore within his division was there was a story of an officer who mistakenly used one of the leaves for toilet purposes and ended up shooting himself because he couldn't take it. That was a World War II story. So yeah, the gimpy plant. We're just gonna sign out with that. One of the most poisonous plants in the world that will just fuck you up.
Australia.
Oh, yep. Sorry, Stella knew the same story. That during the war, a soldier wiped his ass with a leaf and shot himself. Yeah, this story was as an officer. But fuck me. What the fuck? What the fuck, nature? What the fuck is that about?
But I can see it now. Excuse me, soldier. Soldier, come here, mate. Can I have your sidearm for a sec? Thank you. Boom. Shit. Boss, what the fuck have you done? Fuck now.
Oh my God.
Soldier? I don't know. He shot himself with my gun.
Yeah.
Was he the one that wiped his ass with the stinging plant? Yeah. Just bury him.
Yeah.
Just bury him. He's good.
So we'll leave you with that fun
okay?
thing. A fucking tree that could give you an injury that feels like being burnt with acid and electrocuted at the same time. So,
but you know very well that they'll be harvesting that tree for the next 5, 10, 15 years to look for painkiller.
You imagine the sort of shit they're experimenting with it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because basically they're looking at funnel web spiders, they're looking at bees, they're looking at chili, all of the neurotoxin plants and animals to do pain relief.
Yes.
Because they work on different pathways than all of our opioids, which they are being doled out in such numbers now, especially in America, and doled out in such numbers now that by the time you get very, very old and die of cancer, the opioids they give you don't work. When I kick it,
all right.
Basically they'll be filling me full of drugs and that won't work. So It'll be sucks to be me, but I plan to be immortal.
Bed. I love signing off with A's line like, "Oh, that's a great concept to add to my D&D campaign." That is a very evil thing to put in a D&D campaign. Love it. Good night, all. You're all fabulous.